Ashwini and welcome to DevOps at Hands-On Labs. The purpose of my videos are to help you prepare for Terraform authoring and operations with AWS exam by going through the learning path and doing hands-on labs. Today's video is about Terraform state, remote state with a backend. Because it's AWS, we'll be doing an AWS backend. And this is part of the resource lifecycle playlist, which is the first playlist in Terraform series. We have talked about how when you don't specify any configuration for your state file, the default is local. And in the last section, last video, we have seen how we can configure the remote, how when we apply a resource configuration in Terraform, that it creates a local state, and then how you can update it as you update your configuration. But we also discussed that this is not a viable option when you are working in a team where everybody wants to update the resource configuration, and as part of it they need to the state file gets updated. So in a team structure or in an organization structure, what generally is required is you need to have a remote backend where you can give a remote backend location for your state file to be stored. And whenever you're checking your resource configuration changes and you apply it in a pipeline setting or there or even locally, then it just uses that backend instead of using your local state, and everyone gets the state file configuration, which is the same for everyone in the team. So we'll try to understand what are the concepts and how you can provision a remote backend for with AWS in Terraform today. So you can see that it gives you an overview of how you can specify what a backend is, and the way to do it is using a backend block. So Terraform backend remote, right? This is remote, and we're not doing organization, we're not doing workspaces. So as I've specified, if you don't specify anything, there is a backend called local by default. The local backend type stores state as local file on disk, and which we have seen terraform.tf state. Now what we want to do is find the configuration for AWS. Okay, so you can also initialize Terraform with a configuration file, and you can see that you can include this in your main.tf, or you can create like a different file itself where you can specify your backend configuration. So the important thing here is obviously in AWS, S3 is the place where you generally store it. So the backend is S3, and this is a taken. This is already known that you are already logged onto your AWS account from your Visual Studio Code. I'm not getting into the authentication part, so that it otherwise it will fail. It cannot access your AWS account. It will fail. So backend is S3, AWS account is authenticated from your Visual Studio Code, and you can use your I think there's a dev kit, AWS tool dev kit, with which you can log in as well, or you can use your access key and secret key. So the three important things here are the region, the key, and then the bucket. The bucket is the bucket that you will create. I have created a bucket for this lab in my S3. It's Terraform DevOps Hands-On Labs Remote State. DevOps Hands-On Labs is my channel name, so I just gave that. And and then the backend block configuration is and then the key is important here. It is the name of your state file. Now let's say your team is working on different repositories, right? And you need to have like a different state file for each of the repositories. You cannot write everything to one state file. That is catastrophic. You can have one bucket, but your state file needs to be different, and you need to specify the name of the state file. And So I have created a state file called state.tf, and when I have changed Terraform Terraform dot. So I'm giving the key as the file, as the state file, as a terraform.tf state, and I'm going to change it because I was just playing with it a little bit and it's probably wrong. So the actual bucket name is um, DevOps hands-on labs. State bucket, okay, and the region is AP Southeast 2 and key is terraform.tf state. Now whenever you do changes to your backend, you need to reinitialize your Terraform. Okay, because I had already initialized with I just have to reconfigure it. Okay, the name is wrong here. So it is Terraform DevOps Hands-on Labs Remote State. So I was just trying it out before, so I think the name is wrong. So make sure you get remote state and save it, and let's try to reconfigure the initializing, and now I'm able to successfully reinitialize it. Now if I do Terraform plan, I'm using the same resource targeting example which I had seen in that. It'll just add S3 bucket and then another S3 bucket and 4 objects which are 4 text files in it. So it creates about 13 resources. So if I remember earlier when I was doing all this example, it was tracking it as a local file. Now when I do a Terraform apply, I should get a Terraform state in my S3 bucket. So let's just see. Okay, so it's created it, and okay, now if you can see it, I can see that terraform.tf state is created in my thing. I can download it. So and then I can open it, see this is the same thing, but now the state is saved in the local file. Now your other teammates can make changes to the configuration, and you will all be updating your state file remotely, where you don't have to worry about if they are making changes, how do you get those changes, because your local state is out of date with what their changes are, right? Because now it's all tracked remotely, and yeah, you don't have to worry about maintaining the state. It's all taken care of. So this is one of the required setups that people do as part of their team organizations, team setup when they're working on Terraform, in order to collaborate with each other. And when you are working on Terraform, you need to set up a remote backend, and in AWS, it is the backend is your S3, and you need to give a bucket. You have to create a bucket, and you have to create a key that is specific to your project, and then specify your region. That's it. That is how you configure a remote backend with Terraform. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you have any feedback about my videos, please comment. And please also like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in the next video with another concept of Terraform. Bye.